So, member ng ano, pwede rin po.
Lahat naman, Mr. Speaker, magtatakda, hindi naman siguro ang Pangulo mag-appoint ng hindi qualified. Pero ang sinasabi ko rito, remember, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor sa peace process, kaya ni-raise ko yung point na to. Dahil MILF ang stakeholder sa peace process. Pero kung halimbawa wala na siya dito sa transition period, dahil hindi transition period, dahil hindi na to transition, kaya yun lang ang kinaklaro ko, Mr. Speaker.
Ang transition po ay na-extend from 2022 to 2025.
Okay.
Opo. Ang pinopropose po natin is resetting the election. Discretion po ng presidente yan kung sino pong i-appoint niya dyan. Since hindi na po siya extension ng transition period, hindi po talaga magmamatter yung MILF-led. Kasi yung MILF-led po yung Mrs. Speaker ay nakaangkla po dyan sa transition period.
So hindi rin magmamatter kung merong MILF o wala. Kasi hindi na nga siya transition period.
Tama po yan kasi discretion naman po ng presidente yan, Mrs. Speaker.
Hindi, even yung nakaraan, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, transition, discretion naman talaga ng presidente yon. Ang kaibahan lang doon, kasi MILF-led at merong nominee ang MILF. Pero dito sa resetting, wala nang, hindi requirement yung nomination ng MILF. Kasi sinasabi nyo, resetting lang to.
Opo, tama po yun kasi exercises discretionary powers, Mrs. Speaker.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, kahit ano namang ang latitude ng Pangulo, hindi ho pwedeng bawasan talaga. Ang kinaklarify ko lang ho dito talaga, yung
na-clarify naman po talaga.
At postponement.
Na-clarify po.
Okay.
Na-clarify po, Mrs.
Yun lang ho, Mr. Speaker, ang ikaklaro natin. But anyway, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, nung committee hearing ho, ni-require natin ang Solgen at ng COA kaugnay nung usapin ng funding for Sulu, kung ano yung opinion nila. Did they submit their position paper, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we have here in our possession the position paper ng Solicitor General, Mr. Speaker, Your Honor.
Ano yung pinaka-content ng position paper, Mr. Speaker, distinguished sponsor, ng Solgen at ng Commission on Audit?
Ating pong investigasyon, Mr. President, umabot din po doon sa pagkahuli ng dalawang Bureau of Immigration Commissioners. Former BI Commissioners Al Argusino at Michael Robles sa kanila pong pagtanggap ng suhol kapalit ng paglaya ng mga nahuling Chinese doon po sa Clark Air Base Joint Operations. Fast forward, Mr. President, 2023, recent events have highlighted the proliferation of illegal activities perpetrated by POGOs. Lahat po tayo, Ginoong Pangulo, nakiisa at sumubaybay sa pagdinig dito sa Senado at nakita po natin kung gaano kalaki, kadumi at kalawak ang kanilang operasyon. Gayon din po, Ginoong Pangulo, kung paano nila nilapastangan pa ang ating mga batas at ang ating bansa. Mr. President, according to the Department of Finance, the economic costs of POGO amounts to total of 265.74 billion pesos, which actually or significantly outweighs the supposed benefits amounting to 166 billion. Ginoong Pangulo, abonado pa ng sambayan ng Pilipino ng halos 100 bilyon. These amounts do not even include, Mr. President, social costs, loss of life, physical and psychological harm to victims, and the increased sense of fear and anxiety in communities associated with POGO activities. Hindi po ito basta-basta masusukat sa bilang o presyo, Ginoong Pangulo. The ban on POGO is about safeguarding our society, safeguarding our economy, and safeguarding our future. There are still over 100 POGOs currently operating, notwithstanding the President's order, Mr. President. Thus, this legislation is very important and necessary because the ban should go beyond the present administration. This act will be instrumental in eradicating all traces of POGOs in our country, including any means for them to return and resume their operations. Mr. President, with the closure of POGOs, some Filipino workers may face sudden unemployment uncertain futures, and the immense challenge of finding new jobs. And therefore, Mr. President, it is our duty as lawmakers to make sure that no one is left behind and to help affected Filipino workers find secure and quality jobs through a workers' transition program. This is one of the salient features of the bill filed by this representation. And again, we thank the good sponsor, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, for including this very important provision in this measure. There should be no debate, Mr. President, that the economic, social, legal, and ethical consequences of POGOs far outweigh the benefits. Again, we'd like to put forward our strongest and sincerest convictions about discontinuing POGO operations in our country. We also urge and appeal to our colleagues to support and fast-track the passage of Senate Bill number 2868. Marami pong salamat, Ginoong Pangulo, dear colleagues, and may God bless us all.
Thank you, Senator Villanueva, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President, next to deliver his co-sponsorship speech is Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa. I move that he be recognized.
Senator Bato de la Rosa is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, Majority Leader. Mr. President, I rise today to co-sponsor Senate Bill number 2868 under Committee Report number 342, which seeks to ban and declare illegal option gaming operations in the Philippines. To recall, during the 18th Congress, this August body passed Republic Act number 11590, which seeks to regulate offshore gaming in the country. A legislative measure which we envision to provide employment to Filipinos and as an additional source of revenue to the government during the time when our country was recovering from the looming effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. With the projected revenue by the Department of Finance for 2022 and 2023 of 71.6 billion in revenue, regulating and taxing the POGO industry became a feasible source of revenue. Nonetheless, despite the golden promises made by the POGO industry, tables seemed to turn as we began to hear several heartbreaking stories of human trafficking, kidnapping, prostitution, and even scam hubs to the detriment of foreign nationals, and to add injury to insult, even that of our kababayans. Mr. President, the social implication of offshore gaming has truly evolved from being a form of gambling to becoming a source of illegal activities, thereby affecting the peace and order situation in our country. As a former PNP chief who has vowed to serve and protect the people, I cannot simply allow such unacceptable conduct done with impunity in the guise of an alleged legitimate POGO operation. We are not discounting the fact that there are indeed legitimate POGO operators who have contributed to our country's economy through employment and revenue, among others. However, the advantages of their operations do not outweigh the disadvantages brought by the social costs that come along with it. Mr. President, katulad po na nakasaad din sa committee report ng inyong Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, the committee would like to believe that the lives and safety of our fellow Filipinos will always outweigh the revenues that POGOs bring. Ironically, Filipinos are not allowed to bet on POGOs, and yet criminality does not discriminate among nationalities. At the end of the day, the question remains, is it all worth it? The Philippines may have pushed its luck too far in accommodating POGOs. Our government must now pull all the tricks it has left in its bag to win against the social ills that come with offshore gambling. It is an opportune time to show the world that the Philippine government does not fall to organized crimes. We also we always go all in against them. With that, Mr. President, I urge my colleagues to support the passage of this measure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Bato de la Rosa, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. President. Next, and the last to co-sponsor the measure is our Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Hontiveros. I move that she be recognized.
The Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Risa Hontiveros, is recognized.
Salamat po, Mr. President. Magandang hapon po. I wish to be made a co-sponsor of this bill. Nararapat lang na isabatas natin ang panukalang patalsikin at ipagbawal ang mga pogo sa ating bansa. Mula pa sa nakaraang administrasyon, malinaw ang aking hayaang pagtutol sa mga pogo at sa kasamaang di maihihiwalay dito. Nangako sila ng trabaho at tulong, pero ang tunay nilang dala, karumal-dumal na panloloko, abuso at panganib, di lang sa mga Pilipino, kundi pati sa pambansang kaayusan at seguridad. Nagkamali ang dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa buong loob at walang alinlangang pagpapapasok ng pogo. Pagkatapos ng halos 4 na taong investigasyon ng Committee on Women, Children, Family Relations and Gender Equality sa Pastilla Scam, korupsyon, tax evasion, kidnapping, torture, prostitution at human trafficking na lumaganap sa suklob ng mga pogo, malinaw na wala silang lugar sa ating lipunan. Ayon sa Presidente, banned na lahat ng pogo. Pero lumabas na noong una, marami pa ring exception at butas sa executive order na inilabas. Mabuti naman na iwinasto ito ng Office of the Executive Secretary. Pero kailangan ng batas para bigyang ngipin ang utos na ito. I hope this bill is clear enough to put an end to all iterations of POGOs, IGLs, or such entities by any other name. At the proper time, I will introduce amendments to provide stiffer penalties to government officials who aid and abet the continued operations of these POGOs. Nagpapasalamat po ako sa mga may akda ng panukalang ito. Special mention sa aking pogo-busting partner na si Senator Sherwin at umaasa ako sa mabilis na pag-aproba nito. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Risa, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2868. So move, Mr. President.
Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Likewise, Mr. President, before the next measure, Senator Bongo would like to insert his co-sponsorship speech for this bill.
The co-sponsorship speech of Senator Bongo is hereby inserted into the records.
Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of proposed Senate Resolution number 1248 under Committee Report number 421. This is the resolution concurring the agreement and cooperation between Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Self-Defense Forces of Japan. So move, Mr. President.
An objection? There being none, resumption of consideration of said resolution under the aforementioned committee report is now in order.
Having sponsored the measure, I move to open the period of interpellation and recognize the sponsor, Senator Amy Marcos, and to interpret our minority leader, Senator Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
Senator Amy Super Ate Marcos and the minority leaders are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I will do my best to answer the questions from the minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. With the permission of our sponsor, distinguished sponsor, although we are calling this a reciprocal access agreement, is this agreement in the nature of a visiting forces agreement?
Perhaps we cannot compare this to a visiting forces agreement because there's no underpinning of a mutual defense pact between the two countries, unlike the VFA with the U.S. Both VFA 1, 2, and EDCA are entirely based upon the old MDT.
But we have a so-called VFA with Australia. We don't also have a mutual defense treaty with Australia.
Yes, that is correct,
So-
but it merely encompasses, like the Japanese one, no prepositioning, for example, will occur of any equipment on the Japanese side here in the Philippines. The same is true of the Australian. So there's a difference from the U.S. in that they highlight mutual benefit and reciprocity, interoperability, joint exercises, but certainly the prepositioning of equipment, the possibility of establishing military bases and locating personnel permanently is not encompassed by this reciprocal agreement. And whereas they are of course found in the U.S. Accords.
So, in the U.S. Accords, there could be a legal basis for stationing permanently in Philippine territory U.S. military forces?
Yes, I believe so under the MDT, and that has been the much disputed, controversial portion of the MDT, that we should define it, perhaps annex limitations, and so on. And hence, I believe a code of conduct of some sort has been agreed upon between the AFP here in the Philippines together with the U.S. After all, it's a very, very old treaty.
So, what's the technical name for our visiting forces agreement with the U.S.?
Visiting forces, di ba? Is it called? Isn't it called the Visiting Forces
correct.
Agreement 1
That's
and
correct.
2?
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the technical name of our agreement of that nature with Australia?
With Australia, it's the SOFA Status of Visiting Forces.
Agreement.
Yes.
Okay. And then this is a reciprocal access agreement. Why are we shifting with our terms, Mr. President?
Why did the DFA shift? I think it's the terminology utilized by Japan. It's more common for them to use reciprocal access rather than visiting forces because in their case, there's more a grant of equipment, for example, under the official security assistance, as well as some educational and other training interoperability efforts. So to their mind, reciprocal access is the more commonly used term.
The long and short of it is, what are we accessing, Mr. President?
Yes, the effort is for us to have more defense cooperation, interoperability, joint exercises, joint training, disaster relief, and logistical support. So the sense of the Japanese was that visiting forces is very limited, and that therefore it should be expanded to include disaster relief, logistics, equipment assistance, and they have actually donated already the radar systems and other non-lethal weapons under 2023 and 2024 arrangements. We are the first beneficiary of this official security agreement.
So, in addition to this RAA with Japan, are there also side agreements or related or made possible by the RIAA between Philippines and Japan also?
For the meantime, I don't think there are side agreements, nor should we be concerned that there will be executive agreements, because once again, the RAA merely establishes reciprocal access, and there are explicit prohibitions on any military facilities being established by the Japanese here in Philippine territory. Hence, I believe that any such arrangements cannot be made based merely on this.
Okay, but the sponsor has mentioned, Mr. President, that Japan has donated. Donated, ha? Hindi benta.
Yes.
Hindi niya binenta yung radar system, donated.
Bumili tayo ng ilan, pero meron rin silang binigay. So, as...
Was it the baker's dozen?
yes.